Chris mentioned off the top, we are continuing to cover what is happening in Cairo as things are getting increasingly more tense. We are seeing more violence. We are seeing more clashes. And that is definitely the story today as well. You're looking at some of these pictures from earlier today. A lot focused, of course, on Tahrir Square, Liberation Square, but that is not the only place we're going to get to that full report and also give you an idea of what it's like on the ground inside that mob.
Days of peaceful protests. As you can see, conditions there deteriorating to riot-like conditions. And that's where we want to start this morning, Eric. CBS News correspondent Mark Strassmann is in Cairo with the very latest on the demonstrations going on there. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Chris. Already bad blood is spilling over into a second day of fighting here in downtown Cairo. We've seen this morning fighting, scuffles, brawls between Mubarak supporters and Mubarak protesters throughout the morning. It's all a carryover from the ugliness of yesterday's mayhem.
They're back. More Mubarak supporters heading to Liberation Square and a second day of confrontation with Mubarak protesters. But also waiting for them, a heavier presence by Egypt's military. They've used piles of wood and old doors to build a buffer zone, a no-man's land, designed to keep the two opposing camps apart. Whether Egyptian soldiers intend to intervene today, unlike yesterday, to stop the rumble, is one of today's big questions. Outside that zone, before long, the two sides were fighting again. Urban combat in downtown Cairo. Liberation Square has become a battlefield. By yesterday afternoon, it was bedlam. In a well-organized assault, wave after wave of Mubarak supporters stormed into the square. Among them, thugs and even undercover police officers. They pelted protesters with rocks and attacked them with clubs, knives, and homemade firebombs. For hours, both sides fought for control of the downtown plaza and for Egypt's future. They started throwing stones, this protester said, and so we pelted each other with stones. They wanted to evacuate the square. Another wave of attack. A small cavalry of horses and camels charged at the protesters, adding to the mayhem. Some riders were pulled from their mounts and beaten bloody. Egypt's military made a few arrests, but on the whole did nothing to intervene. We will continue, this man says. We will go on, and we will not leave until Mubarak leaves. There was little love shown in this highly orchestrated attack that lasted throughout the night. Clearly, President Mubarak was sending a message, settling a score.
Another breaking development here. Right now, protesters have surrounded a television facility that serves many of the Western media. The protesters apparently want to shut that facility down, and the Egyptian army right now is trying to keep the protesters away. Just one of the many breaking developments here. Organizers of the protest are hoping that all of this is going to drive Mubarak from office as soon as tomorrow. But first, they have to get through the unpredictability and chaos of today. Chris?
Mark, stay with me for a second. I just want to tell the people at home that we're also dealing with a little bit of a satellite delay here, so pardon the delay in response here. But Mark, you were right in the middle of this violence in the square yesterday. Things seemed to just kind of flip on a switch. At what point did you know that things had all of a sudden turned very bad?
We were walking to a checkpoint, a photographer and I, the same checkpoint we had been using, only this time we were surrounded by a couple of hundred Mubarak supporters. The mood was kind of tense, no question about it, but we figured it was a calculated gamble worth making. My photographer was ahead of me about 5 or 6 feet. As soon as we started walking in, we were surrounded, pushed, shoved. There were 3 or 4 people coming up and tried to punch him in the head. At one point, he was maced in the eye. As we were being pushed and shoved, suddenly we were carried away by this wave of people, pushed off to the side. What we didn't realize is that was the first good thing that had happened to us, because those people were actually there to rescue us. They saw what had happened and were trying to get us out of harm's way. Once they got us to a safe place about a block away, they looked at us and they said, "Look, we're sorry, but please don't go back in there again." Chris?
CBS's Mark Strassmann for us in Cairo this morning. Mark, thanks. Take care of yourself down there.